鉄血の錬金術師バスク・グランだな。
何者だ。
神の道に背きし錬金術師滅ぶべし。
国家錬金術師ばかり付け狙う殺人鬼とは貴様のことか。早いだが
Who is this? He'll get through.
たわいもない。
滅びよ。
Whoa.
少佐も気をつけろよ。次に狙われるのはあんたかもしれません。
Hughes and Armstrong. Oh, I'm loving the tone of this episode.
大相当閣下。
生体錬成の分野には詳しくないからよくわからないけど。
でもちょっと興味あるな。ちゃんと調べたら体を取り戻すのに役立つことがあるかもしれない。
なら専門家の助けを借りてはどうだ。天命の錬金術師ショー・タッカー、キメラ錬成の研究者だ。合わせてやろう。タッカーは2年前
This should be interesting.
を介するキメラの錬成に成功して国家錬金術師の資格を取った。
Oh.
介するって喋るの？キメラが？
ただ一言、死にたいと。その後餌も食べずに死んだそうだ。
Yeah.
お客さんいっぱい。
ニーナ、犬はつないでおかなくて。
Nina. She's kind of like Alicia-chan.
人の手の内を見たいというなら、君の手の内も明かしてもらわないとね。
Ooh.
それが錬金術師というものだろ。なぜ生体の錬成に興味を。辛い経験をしたんだね。
Yeah. That's for damn sure. Show.
役に立てるかどうかは分かりませんが、私の研究室を見てもらいましょ
う。私は仕事に戻る。夕方、迎えの者をよこそ。
すごい集中力ですね。もう周りの声
Got right in there, huh?
いるんですね。天才ってやつは。
Okay. So what's going on here?
もうすぐ査定の日です。お忘れなくだそうです。
ええ、分かっております。
じゃあ。
There is something a bit off about this man. The way it's.
お父さん。査定行ってない。
And those glasses.
お父さん、去年はあまり良い評価をもらえなくてね。今年失敗すると国家錬金術師じゃなくなってしまうんだよ。
お父さんなら大丈夫だよ。いつもいっぱい勉強してるもん。
Music though.
そうだね。頑張らないと。もう後がないんだ。
そっか。こんな広い家にお父さんと二人じゃ寂しいね。平気。お父さん優しい。
She's adorable.
アレキサンダーもいるから。でもお父さん最近研究室ばっかりだからちょっと寂しいな。
Ha. Yeah. They can relate. They're showing her a good time. Okay, so what's up here, man? It's been really happy so far, this whole episode. I mean, other than the opening. Speaking of the opening.
国家資格を取る前の暮らしはひどいもんだったよ。貧しくてね。そんな生活に耐えきれず、妻は出て行ってしまった。なんとしても査定を通らないと。ニーナ、明日はお父さんと一緒に遊ぼうか。
本当？
ああ。
やったー！アレ んが遊んでくれるって。
Those eyes, though, they covered, man, this whole time.
こんにちは、タッカーさん。今日もよろしくお願いします。タッカーさん。
Oh,
おーいニーナ
タッカーさん。
なんだいるじゃないか。
いやで
ugh,
きたよ
the shades.
完成品だ。人語を理解するキメラだ。見
Oh,
てくれ、エドワード。そうよくできたね。
すげえ本当に喋ってる。
これで国家資格を失わずに済むよ。
no.
タッカーさん国家資格取ったのいつだっけ。奥さんがいなくなったのは。
2年
Oh my god.
もう一つ質問いいかな。ニーナとアレキサンダーどこ行った。
君のような感
He
動
did,
的
didn't he?
を嫌いだよ。
2年前はてめえの妻を、そして今度は娘と犬を使ってキメラを錬成しやがった。動物実験にも限界があるからな。楽だろうさ人間使えばな。
何を起こることがある。人類の進歩は無数の人体実験の賜物だろう。人の命そう人の命ね。鋼の錬金術師、君のその手足と弟、それも
Jesus,
君
got
が言う
dark.
人の命をもてあそんだ結果だろう。同じだよ。君も私も。違わないさ。目の前に可能性があったから試した。それが禁忌であると知っていても。
Man, this is twisted.
こんなこと俺は
それ以上やったら死んじゃう。
Wow.
ごめんね。僕たちの力では君を元に戻してあげられない。
Desperate times, desperate measures.
悪魔の所業というものがこの世にあるなら、今回の件はまさにそれですね。
悪魔か。だが
Akuma.
国家錬金術師は命あらば人の命を奪うことも辞さず行動せねばならん。人の命を同行する点でタッカー氏の行為と我々の立場に大きな差はない。
Hmm.
そしてそれを
Damn.
承知の上でこの道を選んだ。今後も今回のような事件に出くわすことはあるだろう。君
Yeah.
自身が手を汚すこともあるかもしれん。その度にそうやって立ち止まるのか。
軍の犬と呼ばれようが悪魔と罵られようが、俺はあると二人元の体に戻ってやる。だけどな、
Jeez.
俺たちは悪魔でもましてや神でもない人間なんだ。たった一人の女の子さえ助けてやれない、
Hmm.
ちっぽけな人間だ。
Oh.
小タッカーだな。
誰だ。軍の者ではないな。どうやって入ってきた。表に憲兵がいたはずだ。
神の道に背きし錬金術師。滅ぶべし。
お父さん。お父さん。お父さん。
哀れな。この姿になってしまっては元に戻る方法はない。
Is he gonna
せめて 安らかに行くがよい。今2つの魂があなたのもとへ帰りました。
Wow.
その広き懐に彼らを迎え入れ、哀れな魂に安息と救いを与えたまえ。
Wow. Okay, folks, what in the fuck? I mean, that was quite the devastating and dark shift in tonality, right? I mean, there was certainly something noticeably off about Tucker's demeanor and how he was presented, right? That uneasy, lingering feeling that there is more than meets the eye with this man. I thought that much was clear. And then, you know, it would switch it over to the really happy moments with the Elric brothers and Nina. And, you know, they emotionally connected with Nina. You know, they empathized, given how they also had a similar childhood with their own father being too busy for them, right? There's a quick flash of them, you know, getting a glimpse of their father, hoping to maybe, you know, spend some time, some quality time together. But no, you know, he's kind of buried in his books, in his lab or in his study, essentially. Again, still early days. So let's see how that plays out. You know, that backstory, it is going to come into play at some point. So yeah, you see that there is a lot of empathy there, and they do their best to, you know, make her feel at ease. You know, they show her a good time. So for that reason, this really hit them hard, right? Ed was beside himself, and I thought that Ed's voice actor was quite fantastic in this. And of course, you know, it's the familiar Hanji-san voice I've come to love. But yeah, you know, great performance here. There's quite a powerful scene on the stairs at the end there. Yeah, you know, again, I'll get into that in a bit, but, you know, it's also a timely reminder that Al himself is a kid, right? You know, they had to grow up really fast, you know, really fast. And, you know, they are doing things that adults are really doing out here. But, you know, these kind of moments remind you that, you know, yes, Ed is a bit more mature because he kind of had to, right? He really had to grow up, given the things that have played out. But, you know, Al is a bit younger, right? You know, to me, this really felt like something they might carry for some time, you know, perhaps even throughout the series. It really was quite affecting, wasn't it, for them? And, you know, this also, you know, this incident, this experience they just had, quite a nightmarish experience at that. But, you know, this kind of gave them another perspective of alchemy, right? That it does bring pain into this world as well, right? And just last episode, you see Ed was championing alchemy, right? So, right, in that sense, this was actually the perfect follow-up to episode 3. In terms of the themes this episode kind of tackles. I didn't even fathom that he could possibly do that to his own child, right? And for that reason, this legitimately shocked me, right? My mind just didn't even go there because of how incredibly fucked up it is. And it really is, right? So yes, you know, ultimately he did have a hidden nature, right? Hidden beneath a facade of traits, pushing this public self as his core self stays hidden. And listen, man, at this point I've come to recognize that the grayed out glasses tend to be quite an ominous sign in anime. You know, that has me thinking, really. You know, I wonder how high this ranks in terms of despicable things characters have done in an anime, right? I'm sure it's got to be quite high. Now, of course, you know, I'm asking for spoilers, you know, from stuff I haven't seen, but, you know, I'm just kind of thinking out loud here. Because this, wow, it's dark. It is dark, it's despicable. So yeah, you know, let me know how this kind of ranks among some of the darkest things in anime, right? And some of the most despicable things pulled off in anime, by characters in anime, I mean, right? So, but going back to Tucker, he does end up revealing his true nature, right? Once Ed pushes him to the brink, right? Really, really lashes out. And, you know, it's quite a manic disposition, isn't it? Seems to have absolutely no remorse for his actions, right? He's kind of showing that almost manic pride. I mean, he's quite dead set on the idea that all is fair game in the advancement of mankind, right? In the advancement of science. To most, it might be repugnant and morally indefensible, right? But to him, human experimentation is just another method, right? Doesn't think it's a big deal at all. Hell, he did it once already and saw how badly that ended, right? Didn't get the results he really wanted, I guess. And then he just does it again, right? Hoping it turns out even better this time. So yeah, there's no sense of, oh, I've learned my lesson. And it really felt like he firmly believed that, this is aiding science, right? And breakthroughs must be made for science, right? For the sake of science. So I felt that, scientism was kind of on display through Tucker's actions and his disposition. So, they've utilized Cornello and Tucker to depict the two extremes really early on, 4 episodes in. And like, this is a lot of, intense stuff. And, given this anime's episode count, I would not be surprised at all if these topics and themes are explored again or depicted again through other characters, perhaps with a bit more nuance as well, right? This was kind of like the early setup. So, they certainly tackled these topics back to back. This episode, I get to see the opposite of the last episode. This time, it's a gross misuse of science, right? That question, how far can science take it, right? Or how far can a scientist take it, right? That arrogance Rose mentioned to Ed in the last episode, that's certainly present here with Tucker, isn't it? And the crazy thing, the baffling thing here is that remaining a state alchemist meant everything to him. It was even more important to him than his own child. So yeah, certainly a flawed human being. And of course, he does turn it on Ed at one point, tells him or reminds him of his own attempts at, human transmutation or, playing with human life. But, it's not quite the exact same thing. Ed was trying to bring someone back. Tucker is just out here sacrificing life, right, for science, essentially. Now, I'm not saying Ed wasn't wrong. He certainly, learned his lesson. But, there is a distinction here. But also, there was a great new character introduced in this episode to kick off the episode, essentially. I was absolutely loving the tone and atmosphere they established for that scene in the opening, under the full moon once again. For a moment, I thought that, maybe this could be one of the 7 deadly sins member, right? But then it kind of became really clear that, this is more of a lone wolf type figure out here. I mean, he's quite formidable, and I believe he's using alchemy as well, right? Though it's a bit different. It is a bit different. Let's see. But yeah, I'm sure the Elrics are going to run into him at some point for sure, right? They did attempt a human transmutation, so he is going to come looking for them, or he is going to come knocking at some point. And you see that in the conclusion of the episode, he does kind of dish out a bit of justice and a bit of mercy, right? Now again, that's debatable if it is considered justice. I'm just saying, to me, it kind of felt like, a bit of justice, and then of course the mercy killing of the Chimera, right? Nina and Alexander. Oh my goodness, even the voiceover for that creature was just so unsettling, right? It was difficult to listen to, right, or even look at, because the makeup of this creature. It's really, it's a strange feeling. It was a dark episode. I was, thoroughly shocked. I was not expecting something like this. That was dark. That was really dark. So circling back to our new character, his targets are quite specific, right? As Maze Hughes and Armstrong are discussing, right? And it was kind of interesting to see Armstrong be super serious, right? It was like a somber tone as he was speaking of Ishval and all of that stuff, right? But yeah, you can almost kind of class him as a serial killer at this point. He's hunting down state alchemists, and I think, much like Isaac McDougall, he might have a history with the military, right? And this Ishval war that keeps coming up, right? So I feel like he's got a connection to this as well. Perhaps a tragic past. So let's see, backstories. Gotta love some backstories. So lots of episodes to go through. I'm sure I'll get a backstory at some point. And, as I just mentioned, backstories, this is yet another instance of a character being set up as an evil force, perhaps, right in the beginning of the episode. But by the end of the episode, it makes you kind of go, hold on a second. I need to learn so much more about this character now, right? So yeah, Isaac McDougall was kind of set up in that manner as well. And by the end of the first episode, I had so many questions about Isaac McDougall and the things he had to face and how he was wronged. So yeah, same type of thing applies to this new character, who by the end of the episode is established as quite an intriguing character. I'm certainly excited to learn more about him, and his potential encounters with some of the main cast. Elric brothers. I'm certainly thinking they'll run into him sometime soon. Speaking of his past, Bradley called him a traitor, right? Or he called the individual, doing this a traitor. So, there's a bit of insight there as well into his past, into this new character's past. And speaking of Bradley, he certainly likes to be out there in the field, doesn't he? It's happened a few times now. He likes to go and check on the situation himself. It happened in episode 1, right? Isaac McDougal. He took out Isaac McDougal, so that was certainly interesting. Now he's out here again, after this murder. And lastly, I wanted to mention Roy Mustang. You see that he doesn't quite condemn the actions of Tucker, right? Actually, he even draws a parallel to the military, right? Now, I'm not saying he's trying to, paint Tucker in a redeemable light or anything, but I do think he's drawing a comparison here that, perhaps the military is no better than Tucker, right? That the people they serve are no better than Tucker because they're essentially doing the same thing. Once they pass down the order to an alchemist, state alchemist, they're expected to follow through, right? Even if it is to, in order to kill someone, right? And of course that happens quite often from the sounds of things. So yeah, that bit of a commentary on Roy's stance on the military or his thoughts on the military, perhaps. But yeah, he tells them you're going to see this kind of thing or these kinds of things down the line. So you have to toughen up. You have to be able to face it and move on. But understandably, they're a bit shaken up after this situation, right? Like I said, I think this is going to follow them throughout the series. It's a haunting moment. How could you possibly forget that? How could they possibly forget that after bonding with this lovely child, right? Full of hope, full of laughter. Yeah, I think it's going to be something that's going to follow them throughout the series. But yeah, I've got to say, 4 episodes in, this is fantastic. I remember reading a few comments, not that many, I think maybe 1 or 2, people mentioning that, this is a boring show. 4 episodes in, I don't see how it's boring at all. So far so good. So far so good. It's been 4 really good episodes. Episodes 2, 3, and 4 have been just really fantastic. I think the 2 standout episodes have been episodes 2 and 4, right? Those are like really good episodes. In terms of anime ranking, I'd say those 2 episodes are pretty high up. So I'm quite excited if this is the type of stuff this anime has to offer. And it's quite the long anime, isn't it? So yeah, I'm certainly excited. I'm excited. And I hope to get to these episodes a bit faster in the near future, right? Because there's a lot to get to. So yeah, I'm quite excited. I really am. That was a good episode, but it was also a dark episode, right? It was a fucked up episode as well. Or the moments in the episode are so insane, right? So shocking, really, that I didn't even fathom that he could do that to his own child. So if you enjoyed that, consider dropping a like, consider dropping some comments. I certainly want to hear your comments about this episode. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, drop your comments, give me your thoughts on this and on Tucker and, how he kind of ranks in anime in terms of despicable things done by a character. If you are interested in early access to the next episode right now or full length to this episode, consider checking out the Patreon page. Also, if you're into social media and Twitter specifically, I'm on there. The link is in the description for that and the Patreon page, also in the pinned comment. So yeah, that's about it for this one. Yeah, strong episode. It's a bit of an unforgettable episode. That's an understatement, right? But yeah, a bit of an unforgettable episode. I feel like it's an unforgettable moment for the audience, just like it's an unforgettable, moment for the Elric brothers, right? Something they're going to carry and not forget. So thank you for joining me for this one, and I hope to see you again soon for the next one. Until then, take it easy.